The Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience. It's finally time. We dug into this a little bit. We had to let it breathe a little, but it's time to talk about the NFL schedule for 2018. Pick every game. We're not really going to do that. We're just going to talk about some of the weird inconsistencies or potentially benefits that some of the teams have. To help me break this all down, Geoff Fienberg, what's up?
How's it going?
Good. I do want to let everyone know, we'll talk about the draft, but we'll save that for the end in case people don't give a crap about the draft, or they're watching this after the draft, which then it would make no sense. So you can watch the first part, fine. At the end, you can get your hot takes on the draft. You can do some Chargers radio for us, and what you want to see them do.
I'm pretty content, that's for sure.
All right, so we'll get into that a little bit later, but first we need to bring in someone else who may have some hot takes about the schedule, about the draft, about God knows what. It is Tim Undergust!
Tim Undergust.
That is not my name.
Heard it was.
No, you didn't hear it from anybody.
But everyone says it.
You've heard People's Tribune, you've heard Friend of the People, but you haven't heard that.
We've heard that from you, but you're not the people. The people actually just call you Tim Andergust.
No one does.
They do. They all do.
Lies.
Now, all right, so let's talk about the schedule, Tim. What was the first thing that you noticed? Was it Atlanta at Philly, the opening game?
Yeah, let's postpone what I think you want to talk about, and let's talk about, the opening game. Because I think that was... The interesting thing was that it had been apparently leaked several weeks ago that the Vikings were coming to Philadelphia for the opening game. And experts and, people who knew the ins and outs had guaranteed it. Well, of course, that didn't happen. Instead, they chose for us a primetime game of perhaps the least interesting playoff game of last season, a 15-10 game, which neither team looked great in. It was actually quite a dour, unpleasant game. And now they're going to roll it back out for us in the first game of the season. If I were the Falcons, I'd be delighted. That's the game I know historically, that you don't want to be the road team. That's not true. The Chiefs destroyed New England last year. The Cowboys took apart the Giants a couple years ago. So being the road team in that first game really doesn't matter that much. And Atlanta has such an explosive offense. Play Philly as early as possible in the season. Don't get into December with them and avoid Carson Wentz.
The opening line on this game right now, because you have to release your week one lines if you want to get that early betting in. -4.5 for the Philadelphia Super Bowl champion Eagles.
Yeah, the Falcons and the under would definitely be the play.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, I mean, I like your concrete stances 6 months away from the season.
They're not concrete. I'm just saying what I would play if the game was played tomorrow.
Would you say, well, it's not being played tomorrow, so how could that ever actually even factor into what you're saying?
Well, the line is set. I mean, it'll change 1,000 times.
Yeah, but the game's not being played tomorrow, so you can't actually pick the game that way. That doesn't make any sense.
I can pick it however I deem fit.
Do you think that Atlanta is free money already?
No, I wouldn't say they were. Although, when we did this podcast 1 year ago, and I said to you all that Kansas City was free money on the opening game, and they were. So occasionally I get these things right. But no, I actually don't think the Falcons are. I just think it's a bad game for them to start with. And that's unfortunate.
Any games from week one, Geoff, that pique your fancy?
Yeah, Chiefs Chargers.
Are they playing in Mexico City this year?
No, they're not. The Chiefs are.
The Chiefs are playing the Raiders in Mexico City?
I believe so.
Yeah, I believe so.
So is that game for the division week one already?
It feels big. The Chargers haven't beaten the Chiefs in forever. It kind of feels like Oakland and Denver. Oakland with a new coach in a bit of a down spot. Denver is some form of transition definitely happening there, or they might just suck. Kansas City's bringing in, the Mahomes, who I'm high on. A lot of people are high on, but he's still a new quarterback. And I'll say this, it seems like every move the Chargers are making is now to they know it's them and the Chiefs. They've got to end that streak versus the Chiefs.
The Chargers also have their window right now.
Yes,
this is the year for
they
that.
need some team speed to counteract what the Chiefs do, because the Chiefs, even adding Sammy Watkins and with their running game.
Well, there is a way that they can minimize the team speed of the Chiefs, and it's with Bosa and Ingram. You get to a guy who's essentially a rookie, and just pressure him nonstop and make him just do some ludicrous throws.
Yes, but the problem for the Chargers is they were giving up 4.5 yards a carry. They couldn't control the interior. You saw how bad their run defense was early. You saw how stabilized it was in the mid-season.
And then Kareem Hunt came back into the picture and beat up on them.
Yeah, you saw how stabilized it got when Perryman returned, and then he went back out and he got. They got again by Kareem Hunt and company. But you saw, for the most part, the lack of depth at linebacker and a lack of speed, total team speed on defense to counteract what the Chiefs done. But the Chiefs, they're going to win a lot of like 40 to 37 ball games because that defense looks abysmal. But that, I mean, here's the thing. It's a 4 o'clock CBS game. It's the only game CBS has at 4 o'clock. It is...
Chargers, 3-point favorites. I'm
kind of tilted that the Chargers don't have a real primetime game this year. That actually has me tilted in.
Why? What are they? What are their prime? Do they play a Thursday then?
Yeah, in Kansas City at night, which is bullshit. Every year we have to go to KC at night, which is one of the best home fields in the league, and their fans get crazy. We have to go there for a night game, but we have no Sunday night, no Monday night, so no true primetime games. It's a real disappointment.
Oh, they play Tennessee in London.
Yeah. 6:30 in the morning. Do you know how much they care about the fans or the lack of fans?
Oh, yeah, in LA, yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it for you. You're going to be stumbling around drunk at like 11 a.m.
When have fans of teams...
Tim went outside for a cig.
Here's my question.
I'm waiting patiently to mention that these two teams...
When have fans of any teams had to play their game that early? Like, no consideration, because I guess the league's like, I don't know, we could do whatever they want to these guys.
Yeah, no one's going to care.
To my understanding is the Chargers made any London consolation they needed to not be on Hard Knocks. That is some inner understanding that I have, that they bumped themselves back up the line. They got this shit time, and it's all an effort to avoid Hard Knocks.
I think that's a great strategy, because I would not want to be on Hard Knocks either. Tim, would you want to be on Hard Knocks?
If it was between playing Hard Knocks and a London game and actually screwing up my team's schedule, I would take Hard Knocks 1,000 times out of 1,000. And you have a fiduciary responsibility to your team.
It's at the Browns, and Hard Knocks is horrible. It's at the Browns, and then they go to England, and then they're home.
Bye week.
Yeah. Why is that so bad? England.
I don't think it's that bad. But if the Chargers thought it was like some sacrifice they had to make to avoid Hard Knocks,
I say good for them. They got off. They didn't
sacrifices with your.
Oh, so they took a neutral site game and they made it another neutral site game. Like, we're the best team in the league to give up a home game because it doesn't mean anything.
You're not. Well, I believe the LA Rams have to give up a home game, and they're the best team who has to give up a home game.
That's not what I said. I said we're the best team in the league to give up a home game. Like, it doesn't mean anything to us. The fact of the matter is, it actually makes money for the owners to play a game over there.
No, what they should be doing is don't even give the Chargers a city to play in.
Just move us around?
That's how they scout out new cities to see if they're feasible for an
Test
NFL
markets.
team. Like, we'll go to Portland for a game. We'll go to Tuscaloosa for a game. We'll go to Albuquerque for a game. Just to make it like a traveling roadshow. Get all the bucks. Fill out some of these college stadiums.
Anyways,
instead of soccer stadiums.
I don't think that is why. I don't agree with that sort of high. Jacksonville went to lots of good teams went to London last year, didn't
Jacksonville, undefeated. Blake Bortles, undefeated in England.
We don't have. Well, that's a home.
Goes to London every year, and they're going to continue to go to London for the foreseeable future.
Stop using all the ink in my pen.
Sorry, they might actually play the Rams in London this year.
Yes, I believe they do. In fact, I know that they do.
Is it because you're looking at the schedule and that's what it says?
Yes. Actually, they chose to try to pump up the London games more this season than previous years, which is dumb because everyone hates them. But if they're going to have them, at least put on half-decent teams. Don't stick us with Cleveland.
Am I the only one that likes the London games?
Just about. That, you and the owners who are making... I don't even know how much money they're even making off of it.
I don't mind them because they're just on. And
yeah, you wake up and football's on. That's great.
I don't want my team playing in them because I don't know what a third down shot at 9:45 feels like. And when they lose, here's the thing. There's two different stories. They lose, I'm just staying home and going to bed at noon for the day. They win, I'm like Razor Ramon crip walking into my buddy's place. Like when they're all there, you'll probably get there 1:30 because it kind of ends close and then travel time. So I'll like crip walk into my buddy's basement, all giggly.
I love it. Tim only doesn't like it because he can't figure out how to like get the games if they're not on TV. If they're like Yahoo only, he's like, I don't know how to do that. It's impossible.
Part of that is the reason. I was going to say to Geoff, I believe the Chiefs and Chargers played week 1 a couple years ago. And if I remember, didn't the Chargers get up big in that game and then fritter the lead away to Kansas?
That was the one where the Chargers were a big favorite and Kansas City was supposed to suck. And Rivers muffed the snap.
Years ago. No, you're going way back.
Oh, I'm going too far
2 years ago, opening day. We're like a touchdown underdog. I guaranteed we'd win. Like, I guaranteed it. We were bat out of hell angry. Like, we came out like a barnstorm. We were up like 20-3. 40 seconds before the half, Keenan Allen tears his ACL.
That's right.
We lose. We walk into the locker room kicking these guys' asses on Arrowhead at home, on the road, I mean. But we're walking into the locker room like we're going to a funeral. And that's the day Mike McCoy died. That's the day, because I'll tell you why. Any man, the injury was big, but we had a big enough lead where, like, you just had to coach up this team to survive, not 15 weeks. You needed to survive 2 freaking quarters. And he couldn't get that out of the group.
It was the day my perfect suicide pool season began, because I picked Kansas City, and I formally gave up on my suicide season opening day after they were down by, like, 4 touchdowns, and the Chiefs roared back to win. And I never got a game wrong all year.
They probably also could have used Bosa that day. He was holding out.
He and Tim also reverse cursed himself to a perfect suicide season, then followed it up the next year with being eliminated week 1.
Hold on, no. One of my favorite things about Tim is his perfect suicide season.
$0.
Where he didn't enter a pool.
Oh, he entered. He just didn't use the same picks and lost. So anything he had money on the line with, he lost. On the show, he picked the season perfectly.
But yeah, no, I think, like, I know I've kind of drowned on here, but whoever the Chargers got week 1, that team was in big effing trouble.
Now it's KC, and that's a game you want to have in your pocket.
That's a game I want to have because we are going to, whatever that nonsense that happened last year will not happen again.
Are they going to get Siwoo Kim back as their kicker?
They got Caleb Sturgis.
Oh, there you go. That sounds better. How come they couldn't get Seabass?
I would have thought
they tried. They passed.
Too coked?
Maybe.
In LA, I got lost on the way. Just walked into the ocean.
Listen, Sorry.
I would have thought if the Chargers could have picked a team not to play week 1, it would have been the Chiefs. You give Andy Reid 8 months to prepare for you. Look what he did to the Patriots, for example. In week 1 last year. Look what he does off buys every year. If it were my team, I would want to play the Chiefs least of all in week 1. That's me.
I'll say this. So different, like, mentalities. The Patriots are like, they dropped a banner? What was it? Is that what that was?
Opening night, yeah.
The Patriots, like, are playing for Christmas, even at week 1. They're playing for the next year, like January. The Chargers, to me, this September, like, is playoff games. That's how, like, I'm worried they're going to peak too early. Is that a concern for a crazy Charger fan? Because we never peak early. This year, I'm actually worried this team peaks too early because starting hot is going to be the most important thing that's ever happened. And you could be watching this like, this guy's a loser. He doesn't know anything. The Chargers are just like losers. And I get that. I get that attitude. People have it. But I'm telling you, anyone that knows anything about football, I'm not talking about your fantasy football skill position shit. I'm talking about real football, knows the Chargers are stacked, and they could be ready to make a big freaking move.
Well, here's the problem for them, and which is really tough. So at home to Kansas City, on the road at Buffalo's no gimme. Just because
Buffalo's home opener.
Yeah.
And this is a real problem.
Cross country, 1 o'clock in Buffalo. Buffalo presumably coming off a loss week 1.
This is a big problem personally. It's the Bills' home opener. I don't want to go through a table.
Like, you'll be there.
No, I might not go. I don't need like the guy that's not even home opener for the Bills it's like all these whack jobs, and I love Bills Mafia. You ever watch our shows in season? Like, I am so pro Bills Mafia.
You just don't want the Bills Mafia rage being taken out on you.
And like a week 4, a week 5, a week 7, a week 10, like it's kind of out of their system, and they reserve like the venom for like Pats fans and Dolphins fans, Jets fans. But because it's week 1, it's like I don't want it. They've been like backloaded for a while. And it's going to...
So what you're saying is that they'll definitely peak early, at least when it comes to Bills rage.
Yeah. So I don't need it. I don't even want to be anywhere near that place. And it ruins it because it's a chance to go to a game. It's like a 2-hour drive for me. You could say I'm soft. I don't know. I don't need it. Is that like it's the weather?
I'm just saying that's a tough game for them on the field. For you in the stands, yes. For them on the field. But also,
okay, 2 games in.
Okay,
we could be playing 2 quarterbacks who haven't. No, I'm not doing this win-loss thing.
I don't want to do the win-loss thing either. I'm just telling you, the first 5 weeks are tough.
But those are
because at Buffalo in week 2 in the home opener at 1:00 traveling across the country is a lot different than playing Buffalo at home in like week 12.
Yeah, with Nathan Peterman.
Yeah,
big difference. Yeah, but here's the one thing. Hold on, I'm going to shut up for 1 second because I want to make my final point to the start. Those first 2 games. Very good chance those are against a quarterback playing his first ever and his second ever game. And we better eat.
Then it's the Rams and 49ers the next 2 weeks. I'm just saying that's a sneaky tough start that doesn't necessarily
3 playoff teams from last year. It's not sneaky tough. It is tough.
Buffalo sucks, but it's
I agree, but I'm just saying it's 3 playoff teams from last year. Like you can make a case, and then the other team is the freaking
Raiders.
Everyone. No, the 49ers that everyone wants to put up on a
Tim's
on a pedestal.
Tim was too busy. He wasn't even trying to cut you off. He was just trying to blow the 49ers. He was like, ha! And that's what his cutting in was. So Tim, what were you going to say?
I was going to say I think the Chargers are a 10 or 11 win team, but I think they start 0-4. I don't think they win any of those games, and then they go on a peaking too early.
I think that they're going to go 11-5, but they're going to start the season 0-4.
Yeah, I think it'll be a lot like last year Redux, except they won't blow a couple of the easy games in the middle of the season. I think they start ice cold because the schedule is stacked against them, but then they can absolutely go for a march.
0-4.
4 games. I think they'll
turn them off. Get them out.
Underdogs in 3 of those games at least. I mean,
they're already favored versus the Chiefs.
Yeah.
That will probably come off as KC -1 on opening day. Maybe you pick them, maybe Chargers by 1 because they have no home field.
Insane. The books. My first takeaway from this game is the books are aware of how good the Chargers are.
The Chiefs are playing a neutral site game and they're getting 3 points. I think people are going to line up to bet Kansas City. I could be wrong. I'm wrong all the time. I think that that's what will happen. Buffalo will be a short favorite. The Rams would be a short favorite. The Niners, by that point, could be 3-0 and setting the world on fire. They could, who knows?
I'm 0-3. The 49ers are 3-0. It's, got it.
The 49ers week 1 game is at Minnesota. That's a tough game. You're going to take the Niners to go fucking 16-0, aren't you?
No, I'm not.
Where are their losses, Tim?
Hold on. Let's forget the big picture. I shouldn't get mad. He's got us going 11-5, Pat.
But you start 0-4.
Yeah, 11-5.
How is that possible?
The Niners are 4.5-point dogs week 1 in Minnesota, by the way.
Yeah, that's craziness. Great. Okay, Jimmy G is so much better a quarterback than Kirk Cousins that it won't be a contest.
I know this all backs up to the fact that Kirk Cousins did not sign with the Jets when Tim called him a top 5 quarterback in football. Then he didn't sign with the Jets, and now he sucks.
I'm allowed to change my mind when the facts change.
You're ludicrous.
No, I mean, I think...
I don't want to do wins and losses.
Okay,
can you do them for me?
Yeah, okay, I'll do.
You do them for me.
This is also the last I want to talk about the Chargers because we spent 20 minutes talking about the Chargers on the full NFL schedule show. Oakland. Okay, so Kansas City, I'll give them a win. Buffalo, I'll give them a win. Rams loss. 49ers at home, I'll give them the win. Oakland at home, I'll give them the win. Cleveland, Tennessee, win.
Done. Let's just stop.
At Seattle.
We can stop.
Seattle's not going to be good, but that's still going to be a tough place to play. I'll give a sneaky one to Seattle and an upset. At Oakland, I'll give them a win. They don't play Denver until week 11.
And 17.
And 17. That's crazy. That's backloaded like that. Like Arizona, the Chargers are going to blow 2 really stupid games.
I know.
And whether it's against Denver, or Oakland, or Arizona. So I hesitate to make them like 7-1. If they came out of the first 2 months and they were 5-3, you'd be fired up.
week 1, I'm going to go through a wall.
In week 2, you might go through a table if you go to the game.
I really want to go to the game. Like, I've never not gone to a Charger game in Buffalo my whole life. But like, this is a...
Well, let me ask you. Why don't you quit being a pussy and go to the game?
I just don't... I would need to go with a group of friends who are Bills fans. So when that...
You're sheltered from it all?
So like
go
when...
with Renzi.
So when the Bills fan, like when Biff wants to beat the shit out of me, my buddy can just put me in a headlock and be like, oh, we got him. Don't worry about him. Like, we're taking care of him. That's all. Because I can't be cool. I can't just sit there and, like, be calm. That's my problem.
Big shocker.
So, like, that's the issue. So, like, I get under people's skin and I'm in their building and it won't go well. And I've been there where, like, I'm just worried I'm going to get Patriot Dolphin Rage because it's the opener. I've been there a lot. They're pretty cool with me. They don't care about the Chargers. It's just like, we have fun. But I'm worried I'm going to get, like, playoff type Rage or big division game Bills Mafia. And I don't need to go... I don't want to get rock bottom through a table.
All right, so, Tim, before we get to your Jets...
We don't have to talk about the Jets.
No, we'll talk about the Jets, because you said that they've been gifted the world's easiest schedule. So we'll save that for then. Who are the teams with the other easy schedule? It seems like the Patriots have a great draw here. Now, a lot of that has to do with just playing in the AFC East, where all the other teams are horrible.
Yeah, I mean, by the numbers, I think the Patriots have one of the easiest schedules. Surprise, surprise. And it's, of course, set up for them in a very strategic way that the Patriots get to avoid some troubles early on in the year. But, you know, they get to play Jacksonville early in the season when... I think if you were the Patriots, that's exactly when you'd want to play Jacksonville is early in the year before the defense has the time to set. While all your offensive players are still healthy and you're not going through attrition. Like it's the little things that the Patriots get. Of course, the schedule makers can't make that team good, so unfortunately for them, it won't matter. The interesting thing about the NFL and I are on the same page with the Patriots this year. They don't have a primetime game after November 4th. That is indicative of the fact that the NFL doesn't think the Patriots are going to be juggernauts this season. They might be really good, but you put a team like New England on late in the year in primetime games because they're a guaranteed audience, and whatever game they're in is going to have some consequence. The fact that the league balked at that suggests the league itself is under the impression that team is shuffling backwards. So I think
I would actually say, based on the new negotiations, this is the league throwing NBC a bone that since they're not in all these primetime games, they're the perfect flex candidate for the Sunday night game.
The problem is they're a hard team to flex because they're a likely team to be protected.
But like their weeks 13 to 16 look kind of tough here. Like it goes...
Make it to 17.
Make it to 17 when they play Buffalo at home?
Week 17.
Yeah, isn't that Buffalo? Oh, yeah, week 17 when they host the fucking shitty Jets. 13 to 15. Against Minnesota, at Miami where they always struggle, at Pittsburgh. That's a tough 3-game stretch for them.
And the Pittsburgh game was a Thursday night game, if memory serves.
The color coding on this sheet is weird, but yeah, it could be. No, it's not. That's the week that the Chargers are in Kansas City on Thursday night. So you can't even read the schedule right. London games, Seattle and Oakland. That's fun.
That's an interesting game.
Yeah, Gruden over. He'll love all the grinders over in London.
Seattle and Oakland.
That is a terrible
Whose
game.
home game is that?
That is Oakland's.
So Oakland's giving 2 home games to international?
Maybe it's not. It doesn't say at on this, so I don't know.
Look, I guess because Charger Tennessee is a Charger home game, so maybe by that color will help you.
They're both
I
in yellow.
Every year until they move, the Chargers, the Rams, and the Raiders are giving up home games.
They should. I got no issue with the Chargers giving up a home game, especially if it gets them off Hard Knocks.
Tennessee Chargers is a good game. For a London game, that's a good game.
That is a good game.
And
I'm
then
excited for that game.
So it's Seattle, Oakland, which is probably a pretty crummy game. That's week 6 in London. The next week in London, Tennessee and Chargers, that's good. Week 8 in London, Eagles, Jags. It's a good game.
Very good game. Could have been a Super Bowl rematch.
I think that's pretty good, to be perfectly honest with you.
And Mexico City's getting Chiefs-Rams. That's the best game of all of them.
Yeah, let's ship all these great games with fan bases that love their team to a city that doesn't care. I mean, that's very good thinking in the NFL.
They do sell out the London game every single year. I know that you don't care about anything that happens outside of North America, but hey, the NFL is way behind when it comes to international marketing. And hey, if this is working and it is creating a buzz over London, people are going to these games. Why wouldn't you do it?
Because I would rather not deprive my fan base of games, particularly important games, when they're going to pay the same money to go to the game and sell it out too. Like, I just find that wholly unconvincing.
So you would prefer that the league doesn't try to expand and make more money. That would be your stance if you were an NFL owner.
I think there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat. The NFL's big enough to make its own weather. It doesn't need
It's not. It's only big in North America. It's not big worldwide.
And they can't ex nihilo make it big in London just by putting random games there. They've been doing it for over a decade. The league is like, there hasn't been an explosion in American football in Great Britain. They play 3 or 4 games there a year.
What do you think it happens? You play one game there, and then all of a sudden it's the most popular sport in the country? You think that's how it works? You ingrain it into the culture. It's something that happens every year, and then more and more people.
It's been 11 years. When is enough? After 3 or 4 years?
I don't have a problem with it. It actually sounds like you're the only one who has a problem with it.
I would say that the fans who are having a game, an important game like Jacksonville, Philadelphia, ripped from them to give to people who don't really have much passion.
Yeah, I'm sure the Jags fans are just like, oh God, how can we not live without another one of these home games we don't go to anyway?
They last year they well attended their team, and their team people think could be a Super Bowl contender.
They well attended their team. Their playoff game was Bills fans.
But that doesn't support my point, Geoff.
Well, I actually don't think
they played a playoff game with Bills fans.
I actually don't think that's true.
It was true. Don't you remember the stories about it?
There are some Bill fans going, sure, because they want to do a skate. Sure.
It was literally like a Big Ten program traveling to a big bowl game. Is what Bills Mafia showed up in Jacksonville, and then all the seats.
You're okay with ripping games from fans? I'm not. I think that will do far more damage to the league than it will help.
Yeah, but we know you're the most out of touch person in the world, so whatever you say, they should really just stick with the opposite.
The thing is, Tim,
really focusing on London,
and Tim, who normally complains like all the time that the league is out to get the Jets.
No, he's all in on he thinks that the same argument he just made, that he thinks that the league thinks the Patriots are going to suck. He thinks that in the same logic that the Jets are going to be really good.
Like the Jets have been hooked. The league now likes the Jets.
No, the league last year went after the Jets because they saw the Jets as the threat in the AFC East. This year, Buffalo's the threat. And the Buffalo Bills have a very, very difficult schedule.
The Bills are fucking brutal, man.
They're a team coming off a playoff berth.
They might be the worst team that's ever made the playoffs.
Bringing back a quarterback who I like quite a bit, AJ McCarron, and a team with a definitive home field advantage in a division where unambiguously is it the case that the Patriots are declining.
Who's starting week 1 for the Bills?
AJ McCarron. Unless they draft someone.
AJ McCarron not single-handedly, but he had the Steelers beaten in the playoff game.
He almost beat someone,
no,
Geoff. He almost beat someone. Single-handedly, but not single-handedly, but he almost beat them. Think about how good the Bills are going to be with AJ McCarron.
No, I got to give McCarron credit for that playoff game versus Pittsburgh. Even though
how long ago was that?
2 years ago?
Yeah, he's great, though. Thanks.
He's not great, but he's fine. He's perfectly adequate. The Bills made the playoffs last year with a perfectly adequate quarterback.
Tyrod is significantly better than AJ McCarron. I hate to tell you.
I'm not so sure. I think they're about equal, actually.
This is why you get the label insane person. AJ
I like McCarron quite.
You know what you should do with your AJ McCarron take? Give your fucking head a shake, pal. You're off the charts with this. And you think that the Jets are going to go 13-3 because you're also ludicrous, but like.
And he thinks that by week 1, barring some insane injury, the Chiefs are going to be laying points versus the Chargers.
He also thinks that the Patriots are going to go 4-12 because they're finished.
I don't think I said, except for the laying points part, I do think the money will fly in on Kansas City. That's definitely the sharp side. Chiefs getting points in a neutral site game is always the sharp side. But, other than that, I didn't say any of those things. I was just accused.
Green Bay has a pretty easy schedule.
Sure they do. They do have. They had a poor year last year.
Hold on a second, though. His whole also thing with Andy Reid in week 1. And yeah, they had that big game last week versus the Patriots, but haven't they lost Tennessee? Remember 2 years they lost Tennessee at home as touchdown favorites? They almost blew that game with the Chargers.
2 years ago, they beat the Chargers on opening day.
And the year before was a big Tennessee loss at home on opening day.
Yeah, but that doesn't support the narrative, Jeff.
No, it's not a narrative. I think.
I agree. Andy Reid's a great coach, but I'm not going to take away.
I'd rather catch Andy Reid 6 than I would in week 1.
I'll bet you anything you want. Let's make it a pick 'em.
Oh, you'll get more than a pick 'em by the time the season comes
more
around.
Than money, like something like so intrinsically important that I believe in.
Make him get his name legally changed to Tim Andercust.
No, Jeff has enough riding on a game that I'm not going to watch much of anyway, probably, because there's other games on that day.
There's actually only 2 other games on. It's a prime. The week 1 has become the week 1 4:00 games have become a bit of a quasi prime timey spot.
It looks like there's 4. There's Carolina Cowboys, Cardinals, Redskins, KC Chargers, and Seattle at Denver.
Only one of those games is CBS game.
Well, it's because CBS has the U.S. Open.
Yes, they do the tennis, which always screws with early and
but I like nighttime tennis at the U.S. Open.
Okay, but we're talking about the finals.
Sure.
By nighttime tennis is fun. It's like in the like all the rounds.
Yeah.
It's like every day, but then when you get to the finals, it's like boring. I take that back. I don't watch it.
Were there any other spots like the that Chargers KC game that's in Mexico?
Oh shucks!
Is on Monday Night Football?
Not Chargers.
Yeah.
No, it isn't.
That's what it says. Oh,
Rams Chiefs in Mexico was Monday night. Just
night.
like we saw last year. It was a crazy game with some fishy officiating.
Yeah, and like the year before.
It was Raiders Chiefs, wasn't it?
I had Tim beaten fantasy 2 years ago in the Mexico game. They called DeAndre Hopkins out of bounds.
Or Texans, yeah.
And he wasn't out of bounds. It cost me the week.
That laser pointer.
Because someone...
Yeah, they were laser pointering. That's right.
Last year last year in Mexico was the Patriots and Raiders, and the Patriots killed them.
Oh, that's right.
Someone released a thing, though. Most days off, like, how do I put this? More days off than your opponents. And the Chargers were +7 total, if that makes any sense.
It does make sense because they have to travel so much more that you got to give them a couple extra days on the back end because they probably, other than the Seahawks, probably log the most hours in the air.
The Chargers play 3 East Coast games this year, and that doesn't include England.
I'm trying to find that Mike Clay stuff. So I want to see who, when people say, oh, strength of schedule, and they just based off last year's records, that's one of the stupidest things I think you could ever do.
I will say that for the first time in a while, I am hyped for the Thanksgiving games.
Yeah, what are the Thanksgiving games?
So
what week is that?
Week 12. The matinee is the Bears at Lions. That's not the greatest game. But then Redskins, Cowboys, the preternatural rivalry in the NFL, rivaling Bears, Packers, maybe even above it these days. Both those teams are going to be pretty decent this year. So you have Redskins, Cowboys at 5. And then you have Falcons, Saints, which is quietly one of the biggest rivalries in pro sports. I think those are 3 great games. 2 great games, one, I take that back. 2 great games, 1 decent matinee to get your appetite whetted.
Okay, so Jeff has dug up the rankings here. Good find on this.
I sent it to someone, so I had it quick in a message.
So strength of schedule based on current team projection and the players on the roster. The easiest strength of schedule is the Patriots, the Chargers, the Raiders, the Broncos, the Texans, the Ravens, the Jags, Bengals, 49ers, and Colts. If Andrew Luck is... I don't want to say healthy because I don't know if he's going to be healthy.
Sneaky, right?
They could be super sneaky here because everyone's going to be all in on the
Texans.
What
are their
futures
Jags. Saying? Because isn't that so hard to make? Like the books must be really hard on Colt futures because it's such a are they off the board?
No.
Because how do you bet? Like their win total is if Andrew Luck is there, everything changes in terms of the win total is exponentially different. They must have the odd as if Andrew Luck is playing. I mean, it's April.
Well, that would be the only...
odd today.
If I was putting out the number, I would have it as if Andrew Luck is 100%
You're not putting out a
healthy.
number that says Andrew Luck isn't playing.
And frankly, no one's going to over-unders at the end of April to bet unders. They're only betting overs.
Oh, it's
Which
true.
is the crazy thing you can do. You should never, ever, ever, ever bet an NFL over until the day before the season.
Okay, Tim, thank you. Not listen to what I'm saying. If you're going to be a person who is crazy enough to bet over-unders 4 months out of the season before the draft, you're only betting overs.
I think that's actually a fair statement.
Thank you. So if you just listened, we wouldn't even have to make that sort of clarification.
Well, you didn't actually say that. You just said that there are people betting over.
No, that's not what I said.
I heard what he said.
Jeff was actually listening, unlike you.
I agree. You're not really running like, oh, they're gonna.
Unless you see something egregious and you bet the under.
Like if someone thinks like, because I'm sure like the Rams, just because they won the offseason, someone might think, I don't know.
Yeah, but if you think that the Rams won the offseason, you're far more likely to go to the window and be like, oh, Rams are going to go 14-2.
No, but it's sort of the point that like that's an overhyped number. Like I know that number's inflated.
Sure.
But I agree. I know. No, we shouldn't talk about it.
And Tim saying that the Patriots get the easiest schedule. Again, Tim, based on the quality of talent that these teams play, because they get 6 games against 3 of the worst teams in the league, that it really does boost up their strength of schedule.
I mean, this sounds like some sorcery to me because you're trying to then project what does a 41-year-old quarterback look like without his favorite 2 receivers and his best receiver coming off of a season-long injury and his tight end who doesn't want to be there. I mean, if you can quantify, I don't think you can put a positivistic number attached to that, so I'm skeptical.
Here's the thing. How do you take what he's saying serious? Like,
One
of these years he's going to be right.
Yeah, but
one of these years.
But he's been wrong for 14 consecutive years.
I agree. So, what sort of praise is he expected to be showered with the year he finally
all
is right?
Tim wants is credit. That's why, like, even when you watch him pick golf tournaments, like, in it, or even last year when he kept picking who was going to win the Super Bowl or win the AFC, he eventually just picks everybody and then claims he was right, and then doesn't understand why people aren't like, you were right, Tim. Because you picked every fucking team.
I picked the Eagles to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and how did they win? You touched Goskowski at media night, and then he couldn't make field goals or extra points anymore.
Alshon Jeffrey wouldn't shake my hand, and he had 2 touchdowns.
Alshon knew. He refused to shake hands with Tim.
That rules.
That was coming off Tim's excellent combine performance, where he ran a plus 740 time.
It was under 7.
I'm not gonna laugh.
It wasn't.
At
It was like
40.
It was like 7.24.
6.8 was the real one.
You mean the one where he left early? It actually ran a 30-yard dash?
6.6. We don't need to relitigate this.
I thought it was pretty funny. I mean, I was there watching it, so you cheated twice, and then you ran a real one against me, and you were over 7.
I'd run it 3. I had to run it 3 times in a minute.
Oh, it wasn't 3 times in a minute. It would take you long. It would take you more than a minute to walk back the 40 yards to get back to the starting line.
You're just saying.
Yeah, put it this way: if it takes you over 7 seconds to run 40 yards, it's taking you more than a minute to walk 40 yards, pal.
Oh, please.
And the great thing about me running side by side with Tim doing the 40 is I look really fast in comparison to him. It looks like I'm running like a 3.9. But it just turns out he's going so exceptionally slow, it just by comparison. All right, any more schedule thoughts before we get to your jumbo Jets, Tim?
I want him to play the schedule game.
Oh, we will. We will play the schedule game.
I will say the NFL has learned from last year, and I'm so happy to see this, on Sunday Night Football. Last year, there were 10, 11, 12 games that were interconference games on primetime, which nobody's tuning in to see on primetime. I'm glad they've gotten back to more interdivisional and interconference game or intra-conference games.
Do you care?
I do. No,
yeah, we've already established you're a fucking lunatic. Anyone else with sensible takes, did they care? No.
As long as it's still a good game.
Game. As long as it's a good game, who cares?
I'm happy that even though it's 10 minutes, that they're moving the start times up.
Yeah.
On Monday and Sunday.
I think that's good. The games go
late. I agree too.
And Tim's in the worst time zone of all, except for Newfoundland, which is not how you say it. It's Newfoundland, but that's how people here say it. Because they're an hour and a half off Eastern. The Atlantic time is an hour off Eastern. These games don't finish 2 in the morning.
Yeah,
it's real rough. It's not that there's a whole lot of people to cater to out there, but having grown up in that time zone, it sucked having to stay up really late on Sunday nights and then try to wake up Monday morning. All right, Tim, we'll get to your jumbo Jets.
Okay.
You ready for this?
I mean, I've been ready for this my whole life.
God, that's really, really depressing, by the way. Week 1, at Detroit, win or loss?
Again, let's begin with the fact that after giving us no primetime games except for a nonsense Thursday night interdivisional game, they start the year with us in the marquee Monday night matchup. After the opener and the Sunday night opener, this is the 3rd biggest game of opening weekend. They gave it to us. That's great. I mean, why not put the team in the biggest market on TV to get the most possible eyeballs. It makes some sense. The Jets are going to be a pretty exciting team with some young rookies and a team with some confidence coming off last year with some bad luck. Detroit's a middling, sort of mediocre team. I think the Jets go in there and knock them out.
So the Jets are 1-0 because they're going into Detroit in a game where they're 6.5-point underdogs. But they're going to go in there and knock them out. They're going to go in there and knock them out. Don't worry about that. Because the league knows. That's why they're putting the Jets in the situation. Maybe they're trying to put Matthew Stafford in a situation where there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on him so he can go out and trounce the Jets.
New game, new first game for Patricia Monday night.
That's true. He knows that offense, Tim. Are you worried about that?
Yeah, Matt Patricia is one of the worst defensive coordinators that we've seen in the last couple of years. And the fact that the Lions fired a good head coach in Jim Caldwell to replace him with Matt Patricia just suggests what's going on in Detroit.
Well, they didn't actually fire Jim Caldwell. It just turned out he was dead the entire time and no one noticed. So 1-0 for the Jets. Week 2, the Jets are at home for an interdivision game against the Miami Dolphins. Tim, who do you got?
Home opener in Gotham. Hope springs eternal. The Dolphins get skewered. We're 2-0.
Okay, next game. What do you think so far, Geoff? Do you have them 2-0 or
no?
0-2?
I'll trade them. But I hate this game. But he loves playing it. Like I won't play this for myself.
I would if I had a team that I liked rooting for. I wouldn't play it either.
You don't know who's good. Like doesn't mean
Tim
anything.
also does this for our fantasy schedules too. By the way,
I remember. By the way,
no, stop.
You were talking on your Monday show about people who have emailed or written into Yahoo complaining about draft ranks. I've done that.
Yeah. Who do you think I was referring to?
I don't tell people this, but I am not afraid to write into Yahoo and ask them, why am I graded a B- when my team's actually much better than that?
Tim projects his fantasy roster based on like the post-draft.
Oh yeah, Tim is because I talked about.
So I just want you to know you're gonna beat me week 7. Like let you know.
So he's also one of those people that puts the people that I was making fun of who put way too much stock into mock drafts and then get really outraged by like draft grades if they don't like rate out well for their team. Tim is one of those people. He's probably already on the Jets Reddit boards, chatting up with everyone. How the Jets are. He's talked to him. So he hated Baker Mayfield 2 weeks ago. Now he loves
Baker.
it. Now he loves yeah. Broadway Baker can't be beat.
Baker and the Jets.
Who don't you want?
Well, let's save it. We'll save it. We'll save it for draft at the end because I said we bury it at the end. Sorry, I just got caught up with making fun of Tim and writing into Yahoo over his fantasy.
Because I just want to cheer for them to get the guy
that Tim wants,
and then he's good, and then
Tim will be all in. Yeah. All right, so week 3 at Cleveland. That sounds like a loss, Tim.
Short game on the road on a Thursday night. I'm not happy. The Browns are going to be an improved football team. No one disputes that. I mean, I don't have the guts to pick them to be a playoff team, but it would shock nobody, or it ought to shock nobody, if this team made the playoffs, considering the bevy of draft picks and talent.
Do they really need the curse working against them now, too?
No, I think they're like a 6-win team. But, the Browns are dumb. The Browns tend to, I can't remember the last time the Browns won a game in primetime. So why break with tradition? Let's give it to the Jets.
I believe they beat the Bills in primetime on a stupid Monday night game.
I was there.
Yeah, but that was like a decade ago.
Close.
I remember it though.
I was working at the score, so I'm giving a loss there.
Week 4 at Jacksonville. There's an insta loss, right? They can't beat Saxonville.
I got 1-3. He has the Chargers 0-4 through September. I gave him a win. Like I just had the decency to.
No, there's no chance that they beat the Jags.
At the Chargers is a rough draw, but we're coming off a mini bye, which we've got from the Thursday night game, and when we play Jacksonville,
it's at the Jaguars, not at the Chargers.
Yeah, at the Jaguars.
Saxonville. Say it. Saxonville.
We have a mini bye before the game, which the league has helped us here. This is probably our toughest road game of the season, or at least amongst the very toughest road games of the season. They give it to us after a mini bye. And listen, we played Jacksonville last season, and we defeated Jacksonville last season. So I'm comfortable saying the Jets win this game.
4-0. That's a hot September for the Jets at Saxonville.
Thank God they didn't fire this coach who he hates. So he's got this team.
Todd Bowles is amazing. Are you kidding me?
Well, listen, this is just showing I've got the expectations set high for Todd Bowles. So he better reach them. Because if he doesn't, I will be clamoring for his removal.
Well, now the Jets have 3 straight home games.
And they're 4.
So week 5 against Denver, who's not looking good, Tim, is that another win at home?
Yeah, I think it is. If this were at Denver, I would pick the Broncos.
72 Dolphins, watch out.
We have real trouble going into Mile High and winning, as we saw last year, where we got blanked. But this game is in New York.
Blanked.
We did. We got shut out by the Broncos. That did happen.
The Broncos were terrible. The Broncos had the 5th pick in the draft.
All right, so I've got 2 and 4. Which,
I'll tell you, we're just concerned about, okay, so Denver's a win at home against Indy.
Like, I don't know that Andrew Luck will be back.
All right, so win.
So I have to give him a win. Now, if Luck were to play, I could change my tune on that. But
okay,
provisionally,
we have to get through this a bit
I just
quicker.
want to know how
here.
that's the game he would change his tune on. Like, even if Luck is playing, that's the one.
Oh yeah, because that's got the biggest question mark about it.
Yeah, man.
Okay, at home against Minnesota. I mean, that's a good spot if you're going to beat Minnesota.
Will do everything they can to pump up those Vikings and give them a break. I think that the Vikings win that game.
All right, so taking an L. Probably going to get that L out of your system before traveling to Chicago. Because you don't want to overlook that game, right?
I think the Bears are going to be pretty decent this year. I like the Bears to win that game.
Okay, see, he's petering off now. At Miami.
W.
So
Okay.
it's a sweep, right?
At home against Buffalo before going to the bye week.
Yeah, fantastic. Dare I say it? I like the Bills or to lose the game because it could. I will not say it. But because I think Buffalo's.
Were you going to say it's a bye before the bye, just like you did last year against Tampa Bay?
I've learned my lesson because actually, I've said I think Buffalo's going to be very good this season. So I think it's a hard-fought game, a hard Scrabble battle that the Jets eke out a victory.
What the fuck is a Scrabble battle?
A hard Scrabble. Anyway,
does that mean they're going to sign like Kyle Juszczyk to be on their team and get you a triple word score?
Yes. Okay.
So bye week, who wins that?
Again, fantastic. They give us a bye before we play the Evil Empire.
And then New England comes to New York, so I'm guessing you're picking the Jets to win that one.
Knock them out. We had them beat last year till the league stole it from us when Austin Severian Jenkins did not fumble that ball, and then they called it back, and they completely screwed us and screwed our whole season because of that. We had them beat last year, and we were a worse team. We're a better team this year. We'll put them on the ropes, and we will have them down for the count.
Serious question. Why do you think that they're better this year?
I think that an extra year of preparation helps out with the offensive line. I think the receiving core really emerged as it sort of emerged as a real core.
So you're really pumped that like little Quincy's back?
I think he's a lovely player. Additions like Isaiah Crowell and Thomas Rawls, I think, really bolster that running back core. And of course, I have great expectations for what McCown or Bridgewater or whomever the Jets draft, if that person were to win the spot in camp. I have great hope. Plus, the defense is solid. And I think Todd Bowles knows he's coaching for his job and will be working extra hard to get things working. People love our offensive coordinator, even though I don't. I just think that this team is better than. This team last year had some very bad luck. We were 5-11. We probably should have been 8-8. I think that the good luck breaks our way, and they front-loaded our schedule to give us a chance. That's all I can ask for.
Great expectations. Listen here, Dickens. You always went on a big rant about how Brady at 41, he can't do it. But, Josh McCown at 38, that's where the money's at. No. He's now leading this 9-2 team going into play. God, who's next after New England?
The Titans. And I think Mariota and the Titans get him. So I'm going to make
Mariota! He comes and delivers to me my pizza pie, my Mariota! Fuck off.
Yeah, I like the Titans in that game.
All right. After the Titans at Buffalo, there's a loss. At Buffalo, it's impossible for Buffalo to lose a home game, according to Tim.
Yeah, Orchard Park in December is a tough place. Buffalo with the win.
Okay. Then we go Houston on Saturday, but at home.
Yeah, at home, and it could be a night game. The NFL did something interesting this year. They scheduled both Saturday games at 5:30, and then in week 8 they're going to decide which is the afternoon game, which will be the night game. So they didn't just pick in advance which would be the night game. So it's actually kind of an interesting concept and shows a little bit of flexibility. So that's kind of smart. Man, this Texans team, very good. They're very impressive. I think we win the game, but I will not be shocked if the Texans do. I respect them a lot.
All right, at home against Green Bay, and Green Bay might have everything locked up by that point.
I think that there's a better than 50% likelihood of that. I think the Packers will be in a meaningless game for them because it's a division game. Or sorry, it's a AFC game that doesn't help them in any sort of tiebreakers. I just think, I think we get the game.
All right, and then finally, Week 17 at New England. And you don't think that the Patriots will have it locked up, but you do think that the Patriots will be so out of it that they just don't care anymore.
Yeah, but those teams can be dangerous, as I've learned in years past.
Brady's last game.
Yeah, Brady's last game ever.
This will be a big,
before he retires. Right? Goes out in a sea of shame when they're 1-15.
Belichick flips the bird to Kraft upstairs. Like, it's going to be
according to Tim, the
thing.
Patriots could be 0-15 going into this game. So that'd be really tough.
I don't
believe that.
I have a big draft question for Tim.
We'll save it. He has to pick the final game.
Oh, I thought that was it.
What do you have? Sorry, you're marking it down. What do you have?
11-4.
No, it's it's 9-5.
9-5?
Or 9-6, sorry.
9-6? 10-6. Punching our way into the playoffs as a wild card.
Okay, you see, I was lying to you. You have the Jets going 12-4 this year, sir.
I regret nothing.
That's only one game better than the Chargers, you have predicted to start 0-4.
Hold on. Do you want
the Chargers will lose as many games in September as the Jets will all year, Geoff, according to Tim.
I also, because we didn't go this far, but it goes without saying, I know exactly where he has it. The Chargers start 0-4, and they will win every other game the rest of the year except the Thursday nighter in KC.
That is precisely my
And that is how he gets the Chargers to 11-5.
So since we said we did it, we've been doing this a running thing. Paul, you'll know this. Well, when was the first time we asked Tim about what the Jets' record was going to be? A month ago?
Yeah.
With Gary, and we started doing it. It was 7-9 or 8-8 at the time. So nothing has changed.
Except the dates and times.
Except for the dates. This was after the free agent signing. It was when we did the free agent show. They hadn't got Thomas Rawls
and
yet.
Sposs.
So sorry.
And
Thomas Rawls, not on the team yet. My mistake.
And Pat, he always expects the league to screw them like 3 spots on the schedule. They didn't. That means 3 wins.
That's true.
That's how the math works.
So in the course of a month, after the free agent signings, they've gained 4 wins.
Can I say one thing? Tim. I think the night the schedule came out, he had 11-5. So he's even
gained a game since then.
Since Thursday, he's gained another win.
Yeah, I initially wasn't going to give us the Texans game, but then I decided it's in New York. It'll be freezing cold on December 15th, and Houston coming from the heat and 10, and just it's a bad spot for them. Particularly since if we're going to be good, it's New York. We will be that primetime game, and I like our chances.
Okay, so what happens now with the draft? So let's say, rank your top 3 quarterbacks for me, please.
4. Oh yeah, 3. Yeah, fine, 3.
The Jets pick what, 3rd?
Yeah, in your preference of
3rd.
Desire to be Jets.
Rosen first for sure.
Oh, I like that. I like Rosen.
Then Allen.
If he wasn't Jewish, would you like him?
I like him the most because he's Jewish. And there was an article today that he was talking about how he gets trash talk because he's Jewish.
Tim also thinks that there's a lot of anti-Semitism behind the way the media treats him.
There is saying that
maybe he's not being put up on a pedestal like these other guys for having accomplished just as much. So
the criticism of him being too wealthy, like no one said anything about the Long Boys when they were coming into the league about being too wealthy, or about Eli or Peyton Manning.
Yeah, but they also don't say that about those specific peoples because their parents were NFL players.
They were also quite wealthy. There's a lot of NFL
but no one cared about the wealth. They cared about they were around football their entire lives, and football was their life. The big criticism about Rosen is he's a hipster millennial, Tim. He doesn't give a shit about football. He just wants to party, do drugs, and bang broads.
I don't.
And he'll have access to a lot of that if he plays for the Jets. We did the mock the other day. I have him going to Buffalo, probably the last place on earth he wants to go.
He's got the perfect attitude for New York City. I think the media will love him, and he will be loved in turn. So I want him, but I also want Allen too. So if Allen will be my second choice. Listen, he has a rocket arm. You play at the Meadowlands. There's probably no skill more important for a quarterback who plays in swirling winds and tough conditions than arm strength.
Why?
So,
Why? Eli Manning's won 2 Super Bowls. He has a noodle arm.
now he does. And just as much, I think Allen's personality and demeanor is perfect for the fishbowl that's New York City, which seems weird because he's coming from Wyoming. You think, can he really put up with that heat? I think he can. Third, I'm torn because I really like Lamar Jackson quite a bit, but people like RG3 and Deshaun Watson have scared me off those types of quarterbacks because they get injured. And
When you say those types of quarterbacks, do you mean black quarterbacks?
No, I'm talking about quarterbacks who, in my mind, I think are run-first quarterbacks.
No.
They're run first, whether it be RG3, whether it be, I mean, you can think of all kinds of quarterbacks who are like run-first option guys that just, for whatever reason, they don't make it. And I would prefer a quarterback who can run, but is built like Cam Newton or built like Ben Roethlisberger.
Deshaun Watson is built like Cam Newton.
No, he isn't quite built. And listen, he also tore his ACL, and heavens knows
In a non-contact practice injury, like such a freak accident. But you will sit here, hold on, you will sit here and tell us that Ryan Tannehill is good and everything you want, but Deshaun Watson, who also tore his ACL in a non-contact practice injury, is worse.
Injury prone because he's a run-first quarterback.
Let's worry. Come on.
I mean, the same fear actually is with Baker Mayfield. I think Baker runs way too much. I think he risks injury way too much. I prefer a more prototypical passer who's got some agility, but is still when it comes down to it, a plant yourself and throw quarterback first and foremost.
So you're
he wants to find Drew Bledsoe 2.0 is what he wants to find.
He doesn't. I'm surprised Darnold didn't crack his top 3.
I do not want another USC quarterback. The last time the Jets had a high pick for a QB, we drafted a kid from USC. He flamed out. I don't want to go back down.
Flamed out.
Went to 2 AFC title games.
Yeah, you know what's funny? Every time we generally talk about this, you said he led them to 2 AFC title games.
When he wants to talk about that era of the good, he phrases it differently, doesn't he? Yeah.
Well, I mean, there are 2 sides to the coin.
I mean, you're right. The Chargers literally parted the seas and let them advance twice. So, good point.
Well, yeah, that was really the offensive line smashing through the defensive line as Sean Green ran for 55 yards down their throat. But
don't worry. I think Stephen Cooper got punched out in the shower after that.
Tim once claimed that Sean Green would rush for over 10,000 yards in his career.
Sounds like something Tim would say.
Now, imagine if they had him as a part of this 12-4 Jets team. So, Tim, if they draft Rosen or if they draft Allen or Mayfield, your top 3, do you think that those guys start from day one?
No, I don't think so, and I certainly hope they don't. And Mayfield isn't my third. Jackson's my third.
There's actually no way Allen would start day one, I think, for anybody.
There's no way any quarterback should start day one. The Browns, thankfully, don't have to start their guys day one.
And if we're now doing draft talk, my favorite thing through this entire draft process, or you know what? Let's go back to the end of last year when it started to happen with their controversy with Eli. Maybe it's just media speak, but the Giants reignited love affair with Eli that now might not have them look past QB is the funniest and also saddest, most pathetic thing I'm seeing in this draft season.
Well, it's funny because they are talking about maybe not drafting a QB or maybe waiting and maybe Mason Rudolph falls to them in the second round, something like that, or they trade back. Because there's been this long proposed Bills trade where the Bills trade up and then they go back and then they can get whoever's left of Rosen, Mayfield, whoever at 12 or whatever. But the Chargers are in the market for a quarterback as well. They're not. I don't think they'll do it because I think they're win now and they'll pick up a piece.
Yeah.
We had Payne going to them and I think putting it a
defense, Payne,
putting a run-stopping defensive tackle in between Bosa and Ingram makes a whole lot of sense to me.
Especially with the legit situation.
But if Lamar Jackson falls.
Interesting.
Or one of these guys falls.
Tickled. We could get tickled. We could have that Aaron Rodgers.
And just be like, hey, you're on the bench this year. We're going to...
Yeah. Going into the day, that's the scenario that could happen. A Packers slip like Aaron Rodgers maybe. But to your point, if everything goes as planned, I would see it being nose tackle or linebacker or if the safety drops. This is going to be a heavy defensive draft. for the Chargers.
The Chargers did the very same thing when they had an excellent quarterback in Drew Brees on the roster and drafted Phillip Rivers anyway.
That was also a different
now you're
story,
really
though.
hold on. Now you're making me angry, and now like the hairs on my body literally perked up. That Drew Brees fucking sucked. He sucked. He'd call Hut. He'd stare down David Boston and throw him a slant that got intercepted that we all saw on TV was getting intercepted. Okay? We had the first pick overall, man. How good was Drew Brees? Now, we drafted Phillip Rivers. We paid Phillip Rivers a lot of money to show up. And Drew Brees, the first day camp holds a team-only, players meeting. And players are like, why the fuck are you leading this thing? But he did, and then he was great. And then it came down to a Week 17 game to go 8-8. Marty Schottenheimer wanted to go 8-8, Tim. And the Chargers were 7-8. He really wanted to go 8-8. It was important, coach speak, over 500. And they started Brees when the organization wanted them to start Rivers because it was a meaningless Week 17 game. And Brees completely blew up his shoulder. He got blindside sacked in the end zone by a Denver Bronco, and he tore every part of that shoulder. We all know this story. Nobody wanted him. Right? The Dolphins laughed him out of the room.
The Dolphins signed Dante Culpepper instead of signing him.
The genius Saban wanted no part of it. And Brees, almost, okay, this was post-Katrina. The Saints were like death. NFL's version of, death. Of Siberia,
what Pat
almost.
wants the Chargers to be. The roaming band of nomads.
Sure, right? There's all that talk that they were going to
I still think that's a great idea.
They were going to move to San Antonio. And now all these years later, Drew Brees earned his hero status. But the man who didn't earn his hero status is that piece of shit owner, Tom Benson, who's now a hero to the NFL. But he was moving that team. The only reason, that natural disaster essentially kept that team in New Orleans at the last moment when it looked like they weren't going to be staying in New Orleans. But yes, there was a day where the Chargers went to the podium twice and took LaDainian Tomlinson and Drew Brees.
So who do you hope they get?
I want the Darwin James, the safety, but he's not going to fall. Or I want one of the Vita Villa, the nose tackle,
I think he goes
or
to the
the
Dolphins.
Deron Payne. But like I said, to me, it's nose tackle or linebacker. Things to counteract the team speed of the Kansas City Chiefs. And like you said, I would be so interested in quarterback, Pat, and be maybe wanting to trade up to get Lamar if he got out of the top.
No, I don't think the Chargers trade up. I think they stay where they are, and if one of them falls, they might bite on them.
But to me, this talent, this current roster really could be set up for things. And you see the 2-year Pouncey contract. You like to think Phillips got 2 left. And it's everything is sort of
if that's the case, though, and they do think they have a 2-year window, not a 1-year window, and because of this Pouncey contract, what does Pouncey do? He gets hurt. Taking another O-lineman might not be the craziest thing in the world, because they had an awful lot of O-line health last year, which is not historically something that happens.
No, but people forget last year, and it actually really helped, they drafted 3 offensive linemen.
And they got King Dunlop, too.
And they got rid of Dunlop, Okung.
Yeah.
And Phillips' sacks went down exponentially, and his interceptions went down exponentially. And people forget our 2nd-round pick last year, Forrest Lamp, who people loved.
Lamp!
He didn't even play. He tore his ACL in camp, Pat. And maybe this is just optimistic Charger fan in me. But to the Charger fans, we feel like we have 2 first-round picks on offense who played 0 role coming back last year in Mike Williams and Forrest Lamp. And now we're going to draft heavy defense. You watch. It's going to be a heavy defensive draft. The only thing that comes in the way of that is the ultimate QB drop. But here's the problem, Pat. You don't think we're going to trade up, and I agree with that. We wouldn't. Baltimore at 16 will take that quarterback.
You think they will? Because that's what Seeley said too. He think that's the
absolute Flacco's. This is the last year of Flacco guaranteed money. They won't
be there one at 16. They won't be there.
Okay, fine, maybe, but they even moved. But I'm just saying.
Well, if he's not there at 16, one of the quarterbacks will. 5 quarterbacks aren't going in the first.
But to all Tim's talk, Tim, are you afraid the Patriots use some of this pick leverage, draft equity that they have, and go get a Lamar Jackson, your third favorite quarterback?
Yes, if I had to bet right now, what team will Lamar Jackson be drafted by? The Patriots, to me, would be the team I'd pick. I really think they will.
I think they should. The Cardinals.
The Cardinals will not trade up to get him.
They're at 15. They're a pick ahead of Arizona, of Baltimore. That's a very 15, 16. Yeah, I'm excited about the Chargers at 17, but for the football fan in me, 15 and 16 is going to be an intriguing moment.
Well, I actually think that the best landing spot for Jackson would be Buffalo, but by Tim logic, they don't want another one of that type of quarterback.
No, I mean, there's nothing. Listen, he's a much better quarterback than Tyrod.
I know, I agree, but I just think the way his style of play, and I think that he is not going to be a running type quarterback like the way that Tyrod is, or the way that people are projecting him. I think he's a better thrower than that, and he'd be able to run an NFL offense. But I think because of the dynamic that he brings, when you play in Buffalo, there are certain considerations that you need to make when you're the general manager. One, you're not getting any really good free agents because no one fucking wants to play in Buffalo.
Unless you want to pay the moon for
you're going to overpay
for Mario
someone
Williams,
who's probably not all that good,
exactly.
But all the top end guys you're not going to get.
Yeah.
So if you have a wrinkle like Lamar Jackson, who can create his own dynamic offense and potentially propel people up through his style of play, that maybe you don't need the same sort of talent on the outside. You can draft from within. You can build your system a little bit differently and elevate your team that way, because I think there are certain teams in the league, and I think Jacksonville's another one of these. They just went out and signed defensive players, drafted defensive players, and hope to get lucky with some of these offensive guys that they brought in. But they made themselves an elite unit. And that one year the Bills were actually good, and Mario Williams was a part of that. I think it was the Rex Ryan year. Was
it the Jim Schwartz defense?
Yeah, the Jim Schwartz defense here. Their defense was really good, and they were really good that year.
Yeah.
And if they could have sustained that for more than a season, that could have been a destination where you could have propped up the offense a little bit on some of these shorter contracts. But if you play in Buffalo, you're playing from behind the eight ball. No one wants to play there. Would you? Would you want to play in Buffalo? No. I like the Bills. Would never want to play in Buffalo.
No, I mean, the 90s Bills, that was a place to be. Now it just isn't. But I think the point stands, and it must be said, that quarterbacks who are more dependent on their mobility than not in a game that's violent, people get hurt and injuries happen, are just more susceptible to injuries than a quarterback who stays more in the pocket where it's basically against the rules to hit them.
I don't even know if that's the case. Tom Brady's blown out his ACL. Peyton Manning needed neck surgery.
Yes,
these are guys that never left the pocket.
But this is just simply an exposition of pure logic.
Uh-huh. Last year, Rodgers took his big injury outside the pocket.
I would consider him a mobile quarterback, though.
Yeah, he's a mobile, and he gets hurt frequently.
So are the Bills moving up? They don't have a choice, right? Like they
I
find their way to 6,
I don't think that anyone, because I don't think Indy trades back.
Why would Indy trade back? There's a transformative guard for them to take at 6.
Also, to the other point,
probably the best player in the draft.
Okay, great hit. We don't need to hear
away from the quarterbacks, which are so exciting. I can't wait for this. Like, I am so excited. We're going to be talking about this one for a long time. The drama.
But Chubb to the Giants makes sense for the Giants overpicking one of those quarterbacks. I think, at least.
It does, but the exciting part is, like, if you're a fan of Tampa Bay at 7, you see all these quarterbacks, like they're getting the second player off the board.
Yeah.
And that's
or Indy.
Yeah, and like the Bears right there in the top 10, who I'm pretty high
Somebody's
on.
going to grab
they're getting some great players. And you meant there is a blue chip offensive lineman in this draft that would have gone ahead of a lot of offensive linemen who have gone in the top 3.
Do you really think a guard goes that highly?
It doesn't matter anymore. Unless you're a left tackle, it doesn't matter. Offensive lineman or offensive lineman, if you're a star, you're a star. It's the same as Minka Fitzpatrick. The guy is a superstar. You got people saying, oh, well, he doesn't have a position, as if that means anything.
I think it does. I don't.
Like
okay.
You're football players not having positions anymore.
You're right that it shouldn't matter, but to these front offices, a lot of them very old school. They don't want to take a safety high. They don't want to take a guy with no position. They don't want to take an offensive guard highly. That's just something you don't do. And there are teams that think that way, meaning that they might fall.
Yeah.
I'm with you on that totally. And whoever grabs those guys are going to get tremendous value because they should have gone much higher. That was my point.
Okay, let's get it here. Any final thoughts from you, Geoff?
Defensive tackle linebacker will be the first round pick for the Chargers.
Tim, your thoughts? You just want Josh Rosen?
The most, yes, or Josh Allen. But I do think Baker Mayfield will end up being our quarterback, and that annoys me because, like Lamar Jackson, I think he's too mobile of a quarterback, and he's going to get hurt. And the Jets will have traded up a bunch of picks to go to the 3rd spot to draft a QB who will get hurt, and that annoys me. But sports are, fandom is a team sport, like sports are. And so it doesn't matter who they take. I'm sort of obliged to smile and to back them. But I've made my mind known, in many places that I can, that I would prefer Josh Rosen. I think he'd be perfect. But, that's not my choice. The NFL front offices are smarter than any of us.
Are they? I wouldn't just make that broad assumption that all front offices are smarter than all of us. I don't think that's the case.
I think that's almost... They're certainly more knowledgeable about this than we are because they have access to material and research.
Okay, you know what? Compared to the three of us, yes.
That's what I meant.
I think there are people floating around there on the internet that are much smarter than people in front offices.
Smarter, maybe more knowledgeable about this draft class.
Especially more knowledgeable about how to actually pick players and what it means to pick players and actually have some forward thought.
Me, I'm not so sure. I think the people who get paid good money to scout.
So if you're paid good money...
This is the exact same as... It's called Pizza Pat.
Oh, it's just like when
it's called Pizza Hut.
It was just like
it's
when
amazing.
He was telling me that all the superhero movies are really good because they all make a lot of money. People love them. They go see them. They have to be good.
Infinity War is going to be great.
Oh, very cursed. All right, so thank you for joining us on the line today. Tim and Cust!
Tim and Cust.
That is not my name.
No, I think people think you're pretty cussed after watching and or listening to this.
Follow me at TimAnderson87 on Twitter. I bring the funny.
You don't. People just you've become such a parody of yourself on Twitter. You should really quit Twitter for a while.
I am the same person I have always been on Twitter.
Yeah, but you try too hard now. It was when you had organic takes, it was funny.
Yeah.
I have the same takes.
No.
Nothing. I just am now solicited by people about my thoughts on things because people want to know what I think about things.
He also has another Twitter account that just agrees with him, and then he claims he doesn't know how to do that. But come on.
I most certainly don't.
Calls him boss.
I wouldn't do that. I swear on my life that is not.
No one believes you.
He'd have to log in and out of the account, though.
No, you wouldn't. It's so easy on the app. Here,
I know it is. I've seen it.
Look, it's like when I want to use the fake account I made for you when you weren't allowed to be on my show, and then all of a sudden Rivers Phillip showed up.
Or when I had access to a company's Twitter that I hadn't worked at for months.
Yeah, it's very quick to go by. It's not too complicated for Tim.
Because they didn't change the password.
Yeah, they still haven't. Yeah, that'll do it. I'm Pat Mayo. This was the Pat Mayo Experience. Hope you had some fun. Check out the mock draft from Sunday. Check out Josh 80 and HD and I talked about draft props on Monday. That's all on demand on the DraftKings YouTube page. Please give the episode a like and subscribe to the audio podcast so you can listen anytime, uncensored, whatever you want, anywhere where you can download podcasts. I'm Pat Mayo. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!